How's it going, YouTube? It's Quayver, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Luocha, the man that has been receiving quite a lot of hate recently on the internet when it comes to his overall strength, his overall power level, what exactly he can do for your team. And I feel like Luocha's been getting a bit more hate than he really deserves. He was one of the first, if not the first, sustained character that we got as a limited character. And with his banner now here on the rerun, a lot of people are saying that his overall investment value is low, probably wouldn't recommend picking him up, all this stuff. And while those are very valid arguments, I want to just take a minute to just talk about what exactly he can bring you and really shine some more light on what he does for the team. Just going through, his basic attack is very standard, just deals imaginary damage equal to 90% up to 100% at max level. His skill does a health restore, and when anyone goes to 50% or lower, he auto triggers the skill without consuming skill points. It says it can be triggered once again after 2 turns, and it does remove a debuff, so having that auto heal is really good. His talent as well, to be able to just restore the HP of all the teammates within the field when he has the 2 stacks of Abyss Flower, I'd say it doesn't really get talked about as much as maybe it should, because on top of just being able to restore HP just from your character's launching attacks, it also has this natural resist crowd control debuffs throughout his talents. Throughout his traces. If we go here, it says level 80, when you level him up to get up to level 80 to resist the crowd control debuffs. But Luocha does bring quite a lot to the table, especially with his ultimate being able to just remove a buff. He's the only character that I know of that can just straight remove buffs unless they're unremovable, of course. And then his technique is that the talent is immediately triggered at the start of the battle, which we just looked at the talent. Being able to automatically resist crowd control debuffs by 70% is quite good. The argument against him at this point is that he doesn't really offer much aside from healing, resisting crowd control, and then more healing after that. Whereas someone like Fu Xuan can apply crit value while also healing and reducing the amount of damage taken, and someone like Ho can do a lot of healing AoE style to heal multiple targets, as well as restoring energy and giving attack buff percentage. So after going over that, I just wanted to show you a couple of teams I think Luocha could still be good on, and just let you know that if you are, especially if you're a new player and you really need this sustain, Luocha is going to treat your account very well. But the amount of people that are saying things like save for Fu Xuan, get Ho on the rerun, all that stuff, very valid, but Luocha also will never be necessarily bad for your account. He does a lot of healing, he will always do a lot of healing, and he will make sure that your team is kept alive, and he's just very comfortable to play. Also, another thing is that he's very easy to build. You just build him off of the 2-piece, and you can get this broken keel as well. There's multiple other ways that you could also build him too. I wouldn't recommend really going for any of his Eidolons. Like, they're decent, but they're not the best in the world. But just picking up one copy of Luocha and his Lightcone will really help for most things, especially like with the Lightcone. With the Lightcone especially, you're getting a little bit of that, harmony-esque things that Fu Xuan and Ho can do, with the extra speed and him regenerating more energy. So let's just go in and we'll take a look at a couple of his teams. So the first team that we have here, of course, is going to be the new Acheron Nihility Mommy team with the blonde-haired man. And what he can really bring to this team is just being able to sustain them throughout everything that goes on, since Acheron already does a nutty amount of damage, especially with the double Nihility as well, always applying those debuffs. He's going to make sure those characters always stay alive. The speed that you get from his Lightcone as well is going to really enhance the character's abilities to do damage. And overall, he is just very solid here. Another team that you can look out for is just the pure DOT team. Since he's very SP positive, he's going to ensure that Black Swan and Kafka can almost always use their ult, as well as Ron May being very SP positive as well. You're always going to land to where everything is going to be very SP positive here. That's one of his biggest strengths, is being able to heal and keep characters sustained while remaining primarily SP positive throughout the entire run. you could use him in MOC, Pure Fiction, and he will still play really well with this team. Now, this team right here, I want you to imagine that Acheron right here is Jing Liu. I currently do not have her, but that will be changing on the next patch. But with this dual DPS team with what will be Jing Liu, Blade, and Ruan Mei is going to perform exceptionally well with Luocha, as well as someone like Fu Xuan, since with Jing Liu constantly draining HP, Blade getting his own HP drain, Luocha is going to be getting those auto heals on him quite often. The only problem you might run into this is that because Blade drains his HP so often, his auto healing isn't going to be up as much as it should, since it's always going to be going to Blade. However, Luocha's using a skill for Luocha is good as well, since Blade doesn't consume skill points, and when Jing Liu is in her Syzygian state, her transcendent state, she also won't consume any skill points. And the amount of speed that he give them to get more attacks is also very good. I think that between him, it's either him or Lynx that's going to be one of the best support characters for them, and Luocha can help with this team immensely. Now, this is another team that I wanted to bring a bit of light on, and that is the Mono Quantum plus Luocha. And now, when you see your Mono Quantum, obviously it means just Quantum, right? And Luocha is an imaginary unit. However, if you do play against characters that are already weak to Quantum or already weak to imaginary, which most enemies are weak to at least one of the two, so you're going to be able to get that bonus on Sealy throughout most of the game that you play, throughout most of the enemies that you fight, and you could use one of the other teams to supplement for that. But the reason why I think Luocha is really good for the Mono Quantum team is just because of how many skill points Sealy eats up. Even with Sparkle's ultimate, you could be running out with any other healer, even having like Fu Xuan that needs to use her skill once every 3 turns. Luocha will never need to use his skill. He'll always be able to just basic attack, ult, basic attack, basic attack, basic attack, ult with the energy regeneration rope. So you're going to be able to use the skills for Silverwolf and Sealy and Sparkle without ever having to really worry about a healer. And because he has the crowd control resist immediately from his field, they're going to be resisting crowd control quite often. So Sealy's going to be able to always proc her Resurgence, and this is quite good synergy. I think that Fu Xuan as well would be really good here, but we're talking specifically about Luocha because his banner is currently running right now. And if you do not have a really good sustain, like say you only have Lynx to really do the Mono Quantum, I think that subbing out the Mono Quantum for the one imaginary Luocha will overall benefit you in the long run when it comes to skill point management and sustainability throughout the harder content in the game. Just like with the Mono Quantum team, instead of running Seele because you already have an imaginary character, you could replace Seele with Dr. Ratio to give him the extra debuffs from Silverwolf. This team works the same way as with the Mono Quantum plus Luocha, except this is dual imaginary, dual mono, and I think that this team right here will take you through a lot of the content as well, for the same reasons as the Mono Quantum team, where a lot of enemies are weak to either Quantum or imaginary, so Silverwolf's going to be able to implant the bug of the element that you are missing. And because you have Silverwolf that's always going to be doing attacks, because Luocha is always going to be doing basic attacks, you're never going to be running into a situation to where you need to use skills that aren't physically hitting, so Dr. Ratio is always going to be able to get his ult procs off. I just wanted to touch one more time on the actual build itself. You can run something along the lines of this, where you have the Broken Keel, 2-piece Guard of Withering Snow, 2-piece Passerby of Wandering Cloud, which is the outgoing healing bonus and reduces the damage taken. However, you could also run a set that is increased outgoing healing and Musketeer, which increases attack percent, or the other set that increases attack percent. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Or you can even run the reduced damage taken, the Guard set, with the attack percent, the Musketeer sets that you get in those all the time. This build is very flexible. I would say that Broken Keel is definitely going to be one of his better planar ornament sets, but that's how it goes for most support characters. They usually want this set. I would say for the most part that this is going to be around what you want to run him as. His build is very easy to achieve. It's very easy to get around and farm, compared to having to focus on crit rate, crit stats, where you're going to be in an Acheron domain for months. You could probably be in a Luocha domain for a week and then have him built to where he is going to be able to help sustain you and carry you throughout most of the content for the remainder of the time that you do use him. Going over for the traces, I would say just go 8, 8, 8. And for his attack, since you are bumping up his attack, you could level this all the way up to 6. You could also just keep this at 1 if you don't really care too much about his auto attack, since his auto attack, even at level 6, is not going to be doing that much damage. But getting him up to level 80 so that you unlock all of his traces, they are all very important. I would say that this one that removes the debuff is the most important, followed by Through the Valley, which has the resist crowd control buff being second important, and then having the field restore extra HP based on the allies attacking in that field is going to be number 3. But you should be leveling all of these for sure for when you get Luocha. So just a couple of light cones that you could use on him. I would say that this light cone, the signature for Bailu, is pretty decent with the max HP, outgoing healing, and the taking additional ant damage from the enemies, as well as the Luocha piece here, increasing the outgoing healing, giving his effect res up, and Quid Pro Quo is also pretty decent if you're going for energy regeneration. I wouldn't necessarily recommend Shared Feeling. It's alright, but you don't really use his skill, so you're going to be losing out on that energy. And when it comes to the post-op conservation, I would not recommend using this one, just because the outgoing healing on an ultimate, you don't do healing on the ultimate, so you're not necessarily going to want to use this one. And the Gallagher cone is just for break effect. You don't really need that. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video for Luocha. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit of something, and don't sleep on him if you want him. When it comes to his actual overall value, if you have the Stellar Jade Suspend and you really need a sustainer, I'd say pull him. If you really like him, I'd say pull him. He is auto, so he's also super cool, so I'd say pull him if you want. But when it comes to the actual value proposition on whether you want him, Fushuan, Huohuo, if you want to save up for one of the other two later on, I'd say that Huohuo and Fushuan are definitely better than Luocha, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to sleep on Luocha, that you need to never use Luocha again, that you need to avoid pulling him at all costs, any like crazy doom posts like that. Luocha will still do what he does. He will still be exceptionally good at what he does, which is just healing out of the wazoo. I'd say pull him if you want to pull him. This game is all about having fun, and he does feel pretty good to use. He feels very comfortable to use. That's something that people don't talk about that often. He's super duper comfortable to always have on a team. You never really have to worry about him getting hit by anything. The extra crowd control resistance is exceptionally good, so you don't have to worry about dealing with an imprisonment or dealing with the like the entrapment or whatever it's called for Quantum, the freeze. So thank you so much for watching this video on my boy Luocha. If you did like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you are in tune for the next future upload. And make sure that you check out any other videos that you currently have interest on that recommends you. I would very much appreciate your support, and that's all I really got for you today. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.